Recently, Bhopal gas leak case bringing back our grim memories of the 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy. Today I will discuss about Bhopal gas tragedy. This video is the second part of Bhopal gas leak tragedy. If you haven't seen the first part yet, please watch it and the link is available in description box. After watching the video, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Let's enjoy the video. To know tortious aspects of Bhopal gas leak tragedy, we have to know what is tort and what is tortious liability. Tort means basically an unlawful conduct. It is a civil wrong. Jurist Winfield stated that tortious liability arises from the breach of a duty primarily fixed by the law, and normal remedy for a tort is pecuniary damages. And now, what is tortious liability? Tortious liability arises from the breach of a duty primarily fixed by law. This duty is towards the public. When one enjoys a right, it is our duty to respect it, and if anybody wrongfully do something which affects another person, then the wrongdoer is liable to pay damages. So, three main ingredients of tort are wrongful act, damage, and remedies. In simple words, there must be a wrongful act which caused damage and the liable person have to provide remedy. But there is no fault liability. What is no fault liability? When an incident has happened without any negligence. In tort, there are two types of liabilities. One is strict liability and other is absolute liability. The rule of strict liability is generally known as the rule in Rylands versus Fletcher, which arose in 19th century. Rylands and Fletcher were neighbors of each other, and the case was the defendant employed some contractors to build a reservoir. There were old disused saps under the site of the reservoir, which the contractors failed to observe and so did not block them. When the water was filled in the reservoir, it burst through the saps and flooded the plaintiff's coal mines on the adjoining land. The defendant didn't know of the saps. Even though the defendant had not been negligent, he was held liable. In strict liability, there are three essential ingredients. Those are: some dangerous thing must have been brought by a person on his land, and the thing thus brought or kept by a person on his land must escape, and it must be non-natural use of land. All these ingredients were available in Rylands versus Fletcher case. And the rule of strict liability also have 5 exceptions. Those are plaintiff's own default, act of God, consent of the plaintiff, act of third party, and statutory authority. Now our topic is Bhopal gas leak tragedy and its tortious aspects, which falls under the rule of absolute liability. The concept of absolute liability adopted by the Supreme Court of India during MC Mehta case in 1987, famously known as Oleum gas leak case. Bhopal gas leak disaster in 1984 and Oleum gas leak tragedy in 1987. These two cases have shaken Indian judiciary, and the Supreme Court took a bold decision to adopt the rule of absolute liability, where the defendant is held absolutely liable for his acts, where in strict liability the defendant have some exception to defend himself. But in newly evolved absolute liability rule, there was no exception. But both the cases have three essential elements of strict liability. So the Union Carbide Corporation versus Union of India, famously known as Bhopal Gas Leak Tragedy, the Supreme Court imposed absolute liability on Union Carbide Corporation. And this case proves that Indian judiciary is mature and capable enough to mete out fair and equal justice. Thank you for watching my video today, and please like, share and subscribe my channel for more videos.